Let's be clear, the government's new Renters' Rights Bill isn't just about renters' rights. It's about professionalising the whole sector so the casual landlord can no longer survive. We're expecting around 50,000 landlords to have to sell properties in 2026 due to 3 critical changes in and around the Renters' Rights Bill, and in this video we'll discuss each 3 traps you need to be aware of if you own property or if you're looking at investing in property in 2026. If you're new here, welcome. My name's James. I'm the co-founder and managing director of a property investment consultancy called Freighter Property Partners, but this channel is all about your education. To be transparent, this video is not about fear-mongering or making people worry about things they don't need to. It's about being aware of the risks involved in the current market of investing in property and making sure that we're mitigating those risks if you already own property or if you're looking at investing. Essentially, the landlords that will have to sell in 2026 are landlords that aren't able to adapt to the new legislation or their own properties that just aren't worth holding moving forward. So let's get into it, where we'll discuss the 3 specific traps you need to be aware of if you own property as a landlord in 2026. And more importantly, we'll look at how we can still be compliant and scale our property portfolios in the new times. So trap number 1 is the end of Section 21 no-fault evictions. This new legislation essentially means you can't just end someone's tenancy without grounds. That could be you want to move into the property yourself, they miss payments repeatedly, or they're causing antisocial behaviour. While the new law also provides new grounds to regain possession of the property, this process could take a long time and it may be significantly slower than what we're expecting. This means it's more important than ever to rent your property out to tenants that are reliable and will pay on time every single month without causing issues. The bill essentially means that a bad tenant could cause you headaches for a lot longer than they would do previously, which essentially means that you need to make sure that you're vetting every single tenant to a really high level. So it makes sense to use a specific good quality local letting agent who know what they're doing when it comes to vetting tenants, so you can be confident on the long-term income for the property. Gone are the days where you may have met a tenant in person and vetted them yourself. You need to use an external company that know what they're doing. They'll use things like background checks to protect your investment at all costs. The cost of a bad tenant is significantly higher than it ever has been, which means that you need to make sure that you're taking every step to mitigate your risk at every stage. And again, it's essentially ending casual landlords and it's making sure that everything is professionalised moving forward. Trap number 2 is the Decent Home Standard and AWAB's law. This law essentially means that the house needs to be up to a certain quality standard, and if there is issues, they need to be dealt with in a reasonable time frame. This means if you own older properties with problems with the heating, damp, or anything else, you now have strict deadlines. You need to fix it legally. For casual landlords who bought at the lower end of the market, this could mean that each time they need to do this, it could cost them between 5 and 10 grand. This cost just to remain legal can essentially wipe out years worth of profit and might mean that a lot of these landlords sell this type of property. I already know what you're thinking. If lots of these landlords don't want to spend money on it, it could create a great opportunity for you as an investor. But I actually don't agree with that. We should leave these types of properties to home buyers and real property developers who don't mind spending significant amount of money to get these properties up to scratch. Our focus needs to be on future-proof stock that won't have these issues 5 or 10 years down the line. It's essentially another reason why we need to focus on good quality properties. And if you're buying direct from a developer, you'll have a 10-year build warranty and you're less likely to have significant issues. As well as this, as home buyers and maybe some ill-informed property investors will be targeting these opportunities, there'll be less people approaching developers. This means it gives us more scope to push harder and get better deals direct from developer. So just bear in mind, anytime where there is uncertainty in the market, there's always opportunities to get good quality deals. And the third and final trap is the abolition of fixed term tenancies. Essentially, there will no longer be a minimum tenancy when you sign a tenant up. It will just be a rolling contract. Tenants benefit massively from this because it means that they have way more flexibility with only having to give 2 months notice. For property investors, however, it essentially means more uncertainty and the possibility of void periods if these tenants move on really quickly. This transforms property management into a full-time demanding job. It again means that we need to make sure that we're appointing a good quality management company to deal with the ins and outs of all of this. There's obviously no guarantee when you're vetting tenants that tenants will stay for the long term, but if we focus on good quality homes and make sure that we have a management company that look after the tenants, we're less likely to have higher turnover, and it means that we can rely on consistent long-term income. So for this reason specifically, I expect a brand new type of property management company to be entering the market this year. These management companies will set themselves a new standard of professional management, and using a good quality management company could make or break your property investment. As I mentioned earlier, these are 3 traps that could make 50,000 landlords sell their properties in 2026. But what does this mean for the wider market? First and foremost, landlords who have been in the market for a long time could be exiting, and landlords who own older assets will start to upgrade these properties. As more and more of these properties are sold on the open market to home buyers, there's less and less supply of rental properties. This means that competition is only going to increase for rental properties in the market across the UK, which means rental growth will be extremely strong in the next 12 to 18 months. Residential property always comes back down to supply and demand. If there's less rental properties on the market, competition increases and rents increase in line with that competition. So yes, there's traps, but there's also opportunity. And if you set yourself up in the right way, you're going to give yourself the best opportunity to continue to scale a long-term successful portfolio in a more professional way. The 3 things you need to do as a property investor investing in property in 2026 are the following. 1, you must invest in compliant, good quality assets, either new build or quality homes that won't have lots of maintenance issues. 2, you need to make sure the management companies you're using are really good quality and they're going to look after the tenant and maintenance issues properly. Doing this will allow you to be a hands-off property investor and still build your wealth in the background while you focus on your day job, your business, or anything else. And 3, always look for opportunities. When there's uncertainty in the market, there's always opportunities to be had as a property investor if you know where to look. Obviously, I've already touched upon the types of properties you'll want to be targeting, and it should give us the best opportunity to scale a long-term portfolio doing that. This requires expertise and speed, and if you don't have the time to do it yourself, then I'll put a link to our website, Freighter Property Partners, in the description, and you can organise a free call with one of the team. But that is everything for today's video, so I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you soon.